market humming low and mean. Dead men walking, pockets empty, betting rent on broken dreams. I sip my whiskey slow and heavy, like the weight of all their debt. Watching margin calls roll in, they ain't climbed out that hole yet. Took my time, played the long con, laid my traps and let them by. Turned their gold to dust and echoes, now they praying for the light. Hands are shaking, screens are flashing, redder than a preacher's shame. I've been stacking while they slacking, that's just how you play the game. It's Liberation Day, watch the empire fall. I'm sitting pretty while they beg and crawl, stacking green while they lose their nerve. Let them chase the smoke while I hold the curve. I don't bend, I don't break, I just rise. Let them drown in the lies, I'm claiming the prize. It's Liberation Day, they're all out of luck. While I'm cashing in, baby, don't give up. Granddad told me, boy, listen, money moves like running water. Let a fool get rich too early, watch him drown inside the slaughter. Snake oil dripping, preachers pitching, selling lies in plastic jars. Now they're hawking all their wristwatches to buy back repoed cars. Smoked them out, watched them stumble, took their bets and built my throne. Now they crying, calling Jesus, while I call Geneva home. Every candlestick's a tombstone, every wick's a warning sign, but they never read the writing. Now they Liberation Day, watch the empire fall. I'm sitting pretty while they beg and crawl, stacking green while they lose their nerve. Let them chase the smoke while I hold the curve. I don't bend, I don't break, I just rise. Let them drown in the lies, I'm claiming the prize. It's Liberation Day, they're all out of luck. While I'm cashing in, baby, don't give up. Fuck. That smoke to the ones who knew when to cut the rope. It's Liberation Day, let the money flow. It's Liberation Day, watch the empire fall. I'm sitting pretty while they beg and crawl, stacking green while they lose their nerve. Let them chase the smoke while I hold the curve. I don't bend, I don't break, I just rise. Let them drown in the lies, I'm claiming the prize. It's Liberation Day, they're all out of luck. While I'm cashing in, baby, don't give a fuck.
Wake up, you losers. We got places to be. The casino is about to have a really fun post-pit session entertainment. Grab yourself a coffee, or if you're like me, grab your 18th of the day and let's get ready to rip it. It is taking a lot of effort from your boy here to not degenerately trade all day. I did get into a couple positions, but I didn't necessarily go full size to give myself a little bit of breathing room. But I did spend the time consuming as much caffeine as the human body can possibly do. So buckle up. I highly recommend you put on some of your safety gear, if you will. You very much should put on your safety gear, because this is gonna get wild. I want to say that mainstream media is 100% wrong, and we're about to rip to the high heavens. I think this is going to mark the bottom, and we're about to rip. but it's just a guess. I preach it all the time. It's no point in predicting. You're 50-50 right. This prediction might make me look like a genius. Be like, hey, that dapper guy with the safety goggles on, he seemed to know what he was talking about. And then on the other side, if I'm wrong, you guys are going to be like, yeah, no shit, that kid was wrong. So it's kind of a win-win for me, baby. But it's where we're at. Let's get ready. Liberation Day is upon us. Finally, there's a global, federal, and local holiday for your neighboring degenerate gamblers, and that's what we are. This is our holiday, folks. This is our holiday. So let's get ready with it. Let's get ready to rip it. Here's a look at the market. We're about 10 minutes out from closing. We just had some that market on close orders come through. You can see we're getting a bit of a pop into close. A little bit of optimism across the board. The SPY's up 0.7%. The Qs are up 0.8%. Bitcoin's up 1.5%. Tesla's up 5%. We have kind of a crazy heat map situation. We might get more of a push into close. We are in a negative gamma node. I want to show you the options flow. Pretty bullish up until 110, pretty bearish up until power hour. And then by definition, the option traders are putting power into said hour because golly, look at this. Just puts are capitulating, calls are being bought up right into close here. So a little bit of optimism going into close. Do they know something we don't? I don't know. I'll tell you better tomorrow morning at market open. But what I can tell you is that the Mag 7, Apple, Amazon, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Nvidia, and Tesla, the longer duration calls hit their peak delta level of the day just now. So at least within the tech sector, there is quite a bit of enthusiasm while the puts are completely flat. So I believe this one's pretty telling. Not so much on the S&P 500 because the green and the light blue, they obviously expired today. But what we can see in the Mag 7, the 0DT, we had some optimism up until about 1, then it went flat. No one really touched puts this entire day, but I do find it interesting that we have such aggressive call buying for longer duration. And I've been preaching this for months. That's a lie. I've been preaching this for weeks. How you guys, if you're watching this, there's a good chance that you've seen my videos of saying, hey, the bottom is somewhere between March OPEX and the first week of April. And guess where the fuck we are? We are right there. And I'm sticking to my guns on it. I think the low in this particular cycle is put in. I think we pop, and then who knows where the high in the next low will be. But if you're looking at the daily swing time frame, I'm sticking to my guns, folks. I think what's about to be announced at market close, I think everyone's going to say, okay, that's exactly what we expected. It's going to remove a bunch of uncertainty from the system. We're going to pop. You're going to see puts capitulate. You're going to see vol collapse. You're going to see a Vanna rally. And everyone's going to say, Jesus Louises, I wish I listened to that really, really good-looking streamer named Matt Kohrs. Some of you have listened to me. Some of you haven't listened to me. Those of you who have listened to me are right now up a shitload of money. And then the other people, well, maybe you're just sitting on your hands, not being a degenerate, not trading when you know you shouldn't be trading. Let's be hopeful that you're not losing any money. So I hope you guys are ready. We have about 5 minutes to go, 7 minutes to go until the market closes. I did create a position throughout the day today to play this event. Obviously, if you're in the Discord, you already know all the nitty-gritty details of what that position is. Overall, here's what happened today. We opened up pretty low. We got up into the transition zone. We got smacked. We broke through. You had some profit taking just below 5,700. How do we get to 5,695? Then we came right down. We found support at the closing value, ripped back up. And I would love a little push to 80 or to 90 by close. Fuck, I would actually love it to 5,700. But let's see. For me, it doesn't matter. It's not a day trade. Speaking of day trades, I did lock these in. I got some questions about futures. I was able to lock in 40K right here. Here's my 20 Apex accounts, 2K on each. 2K multiplied by 20, that's the 40,000. Obviously, it doesn't really matter yet because I can't take the money out, but it's $40,000 of fake money that might become real money if I jump through a bunch of additional hoops. I do want to bring your attention to what's pinned to the top of chat. If you want to trade with someone else's money and really lower your risk, right now the best offering for all of you is Take Profit Trader. Use that code Goonie to get 30% off, and you never have to pay an activation fee. This is currently the most financially advantageous offering in the sim to funded bonded world. So if you want to check that out, like I said, pinned to the top of chat in the description of the video, use that code Goonie, and really just use the code Goonie. If there's something that I use a tool, and if you're wondering there's a discount or not, there's a very, very good chance that the code Goonie is going to be kind of what you are after. So just wanted to call that out before the market closes. Really before we get into the fun post-market session, but we are gonna get going. We are gonna get going here. I'm on the 1 minute. We have this working. I would love a little bit of we are getting a pretty solid push and a close here. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother. I have all these ready. Here's CNBC. They must have their camera set up. Here's Fox. They must have their camera set up. And then here is the AP already kind of rolling. Hey, there's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Do we notice anyone else in this photo? There's Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary of Commerce. Do we notice anyone else? A lot of people in hard hats. Must be a big hard hat event following this particular one. There's Mike Johnson, I believe. Who else do we notice here? There's Tulsi Gabbard. All right, we're doing pretty well. I think we're noticed. Oh, there's RFK. Is that Biden? No. Who's over here? No, that's just an old man. Sorry, that's a little bit of my white racism coming through, thinking that all old white men look the same. My apologies. If you identify in any way, shape, or form as an old white man, like I said, my apologies for my inherent racism that just popped up. I get them all confused. I see an old white guy, they all look the same to me. Sue me. I know I'm probably going to get canceled for it, but I'll call it how I see it. All old white dudes look the same, and I have a tough time distinguishing between them. So it was honestly, it was a true, honest mistake, but maybe it is subconsciously a lot of racism towards old white dudes. I don't know. Whatever. Sorry. We've already lived past so many cancellations at this point. If they cancel me, it might be a loop. It might bring me back to life at this point. All right, let's get ready. Let's close the market and see what we have ripping. Is there any sound here on this? Oh, dude, they have a little light jazz going for everyone. Little light jazz at the Rose Garden on a nice Wednesday on a little Liberation Day, light jazz. What else do you need? Just dudes taking photos of each other, just dudes on dudes on dudes, dudes on hard hats, listening to smooth jazz. That's the fucking life right there. These people are peaking. They really are. Just taking pics with your bro, wearing a hard hat, listening to some light jazz as the market is either about to gain or lose trillions of dollars of value. That is peak life. Like, what else could you possibly want right there? Man, what a fucking life. All right, we're ending on a positive note. Let's do this thing. Everyone, what is your... all right. Quickly, type away, my little consumers. Are you guys bullish or bearish? Do you think the market's about to pop, or do you think the market's about to drop? Let me know. I know which way I feel, but I don't want my opinion to sway your opinion whatsoever. So type it away. If you cash your vote after market close, it doesn't count. You have 90 seconds to do this. 90 seconds to do it, or I'm not going to show you the guys in hard hats taking pictures with each other listening to smooth jazz. So that's my threat. It's not a threat, it's a promise. I will turn the show off. You're never going to be able to see old white dudes in hard hats just snapping some Snapchats, listening to old smooth jazz again. Okay, bullish drop, bull. Bill. Someone said Bill, which is not a direction. We're going down. Says Max. Well, it's in your name. Your name is Max the Bear, so that vote isn't surprising. No Vena rally. I don't know what a Vena rally is, but Armageddon, crash, Trump dump, go up then down, bull. Well, we're about to find out. Just some dudes helping dudes. I'm a dude playing another dude. Bill is super bullish. I know a Bill. I actually know two Bills in my life, which, call me old fashioned, but that's enough Bills to know. As soon as you start to know more than two people with the same name, call me fucking crazy, but that's a setup. As soon as I meet a third person in my life that has the same name as 2 other people in my life, I tell them to shut the fuck up and I walk away and I never interact with them again. I'm telling you folks, one of the biggest secrets to my life is limiting people who I know by just only 2 of them. If you have the same name, 2 of them is where it's at. By the time you get to 3, that's where things get a little bit sketchy, if you ask me. But that's just an aspect of my life. I don't know. We're getting a little personal here. All right, dingity ding ding ding. The market has officially closed. The casino has officially closed on the day, but there's about to be a pretty gnarly after party. The SPY gaining 0.6%. The Qs gaining 0.7%. The SPY, the Qs, both going green, both really respecting seasonality on the day. Bitcoin chilling just below 87,000. Let's put that up there. Let's throw up Bitcoin. Let's throw up Vol to see if that's doing anything nutty. MSTR is a nice 2% gain. Palantir 3, Tesla 5. Broadcom 2, Meta lost a little. There are rumors that Zuckerberg was meeting with Trump today, slightly red. Rum's up 4.7%, closing above $8. Netflix in the green, Microsoft break even. We have Coin up 4.8%, Amazon up 2%, Qualcomm up 0.7%, Solana up 3.7%, XRP up 1%, Texas Roadhouse up 2%. So more green on the board than red for all the kids keeping score at home. Looking at the heat map of the S&P 500, the only thing I'm seeing a bit red today is the beverage non-alcohol sector, which makes sense because that's the sector for children. I would rather see the beverage alcohol sector and see how that one is most likely ripping. Tobacco's down, but I guess that's because tobacco kills. Wacky tobacco. Listen, kids, drugs aren't cool. I know how I look right now. I can understand the humor in a person looking how I do right now, telling you drugs are bad, but they are bad unless you want to be a really cool person and have a lot of fun times in your life. If you want that, maybe you would be interested. But other than that, it's drugs kill. Drugs are for all those losers like rock stars and guys who hang out with a bunch of women and have a bunch of friends and go to clubs and hang out on yachts and go to the ocean and the beach. That's who drugs and alcohol are for. And those people are bad people. I want to clarify. You don't want to be with that group. I think we all can agree that it might be a little bit better, just a little bit better, to hang out with that weird quiet kid that doesn't get invited to anything and sits by himself. And that could be you. That could be like, I get it. I get that it's cool when you see a rock star in a leather vest with no shirt underneath and he's in assless chaps and there's nothing under those chaps and he's ripping on a motorcycle and he has a cig in one mouth and a bottle of vodka in the other mouth. I get that seems cool. I get it seems cool, but that's all marketing. That's marketing from the devil. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Anyway, now we're just waiting for Trump. Sorry. I know I've already taken the show off the rails, but I think it's just because like smooth jazz really gets me going. Dude, anytime smooth jazz starts to enter my ear canals, it's just craziness takes over, you know? I just kind of go a little loco essay. And I think it's just because of the very deep and rich history surrounding smooth jazz that it just gets all the neurons in my brain just really firing. So it's just, sorry, my apologies. It's embarrassing. All right, are we starting this thing? Everyone's standing up. Everyone shut up. If you're in chat, shut your mouth when you're talking to me. Shut your mouth. We're starting. We're here. I see people standing. The hats are still on. We're going to see if the hats are coming off. Smooth jazz is still ripping it. That's good. Now what are we doing? This guy's just looking the wrong way. Like 100%. He's checking out the other direction. I think he missed the memo on where this is. Well, these camera guys are like, wait, why are some looking this way and some? What is the vantage point here? What the hell's going on? Everyone's looking around. Why are we all looking around? Okay, well, they haven't started. Have these guys started? They seemingly have the same feed. This is the same feed as this. These guys just have a nice little announcement for us. A nice little announcement. Which actually reminds me of today's show announcement. Don't forget to change your car's oil. It's probably been a while. If you're pushing that 5, 8, 10,000 mile marker, if you're about to go on a little bit of a springtime summer vacation, check your car's oil. You don't want to be that person breaking down, calling your dad, shitting your pants, saying, I don't know what to do. I thought I had oil. So yeah, I don't know. That's today's stream sponsor. Check your car's oil and do whatever would be necessary. I've really never gotten past that point. But I hear that there are things to do after that. So you might want to figure that one out. I don't know, ChatGPT or some shit like that. I don't know. 200 miles till the next one's due. Oh, fuck. Aaron, act cool. This is to liberation. Having a couple libations for liberation.
Of the United States.
Hell yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
This is just like July 4th and Christmas wrapped together, but for gamblers. Let's rip it. Let's rip it. This feels like they're off. Sorry, I had two audios playing. I was like, that doesn't sound right. My bad. Gotcha. April Fools. Sounded a little off, but classic April Fool's joke, you know? All right, liberate us, brother. Liberate us. All right.
Thank you very much.
We're just below
Thank you.
565.
Nice
We're at
crowd. What a good-looking group of
564.50.
people. Well, we have some very, very good news
Mark it.
today, and a lot of good things are happening for our country. Please sit down. My fellow Americans, this is Liberation Day.
Yes, it is,
Waiting for
brother.
a long time.
Liberate us. Liberate me.
April 2nd, 2025 will forever be remembered as the day American industry was reborn, the day America's destiny was reclaimed, and the day that we began to make America wealthy again.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
Gonna
Here,
make
here.
it wealthy, good and wealthy.
Mark
For
it down,
decades,
75
our country
cents.
has been looted, pillaged, raped, and plundered by nations near and far, both friend and foe alike. American steel workers, auto workers, farmers, and skilled craftsmen, we have a lot of them here with us today. They really suffered gravely. They watched in anguish as foreign leaders have stolen our jobs, foreign cheaters have ransacked our factories, and foreign scavengers have torn apart our once beautiful American dream. We had an American dream that you don't hear so much about. You did 4 years ago, and you are now, but you don't too often, and for many years and decades even, you didn't hear too much about. Our country and its taxpayers have been ripped off for more than 50 years, but it is not going to happen anymore. It's not going to happen. In a few moments, I will sign a historic executive order instituting reciprocal tariffs on countries throughout the world. Reciprocal, that means they do it to us and we do it to them. Very simple. Can't get any simpler than that. This is one of the most important days, in my opinion, in American history. It's our declaration of economic independence. For years, hardworking American citizens were forced to sit on the sidelines as other nations got rich and powerful, much of it at our expense. But now it's our turn to prosper, and in so doing, use trillions
Finally,
and
America can
trillions
get
of
ahead.
dollars to reduce our taxes and pay down our national debt, and it'll all happen very quickly. With today's action, we are finally going to be able to make America great again, greater than ever before.
All right, give us the numbies, brother.
Jobs and factories will come roaring back into our country, and you see it happening already. We will supercharge our domestic industrial base. We will pry open foreign markets and break down foreign trade barriers. And ultimately, more production at home will mean stronger competition and lower prices for consumers. This will be indeed the golden age of America. It's coming back, and we're going to come back very strongly. We're pleased to be joined on this momentous occasion by Vice President J.D. Vance. J.D., thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Where are you, J.D.? No, that wasn't too hard to find. I was looking, you know, he likes to take a low-key attitude, so it'd usually be sitting right in front. He's gaining a lot of confidence, Mike, isn't he? And nearly my entire cabinet is here, as well as Speaker Mike Johnson, who's done an amazing job. And with the great success we had last night in Florida, we have a majority of 7. And 7's like a lot when we had it at 1, right? You've done a fantastic job. And many of the members of the House and Senate are with us. Senators, Congressmen, thank you all for being with us. We appreciate it. For decades, the United States slashed our trade barriers on other countries, while those nations placed massive tariffs on our products and created outrageous non-monetary barriers to decimate our industries. And in many cases, the non-monetary barriers were worse than the monetary ones. They manipulated their currencies, subsidized their exports, stole our intellectual property,
Mark it down by
$1.50
$1.50.
VAT taxes to disadvantage our products, adopted unfair rules and technical standards, and created filthy pollution havens. They were absolutely filthy, but they always came to us and they said, we're violating, we should pay for it. It's all detailed in a very big report by the U.S. Trade Representative on foreign trade barriers, and I'll just hold it up for you. It's available, and you don't have to pay too much. As I understand it, you'll pay nothing. It's a lot of work for something, actually, because it's a special book. It's frankly, it's very upsetting when you read it, when you see what people have been doing to us for 30 years. This all happened with no response from the United States of America, none whatsoever. But those days are over. Let me offer just a few examples of the vicious attacks our workers have faced for so many years. The United States charges other countries only a 2.4 tariff on motorcycles. Meanwhile, Thailand and others are charging much higher prices, like 60%. India charges 70%. Vietnam charges 75%, and others are even higher than that. Likewise, until today, the United States has for decades charged a 2.5 tariff. Think of that, 2.5% on foreign-made automobiles. The European Union charges us more than
protection.
10% tariffs.
Eye protection.
They have 20% VATs, much, much higher. India charges 70%, and perhaps worst of all are the non-monetary restrictions imposed by South Korea, Japan, and very many other nations. As a result of these colossal trade barriers, 81% of the cars in South Korea are made in South Korea. 94% of the cars in Japan are made in Japan. Toyota sells 1 million foreign-made automobiles into the United States, and General Motors sells almost none. Ford sells very little. None of our companies are allowed to go into other countries. And I say that, friend and foe. And in many cases, the friend is worse than the foe in terms of trade. But such horrendous imbalances have devastated our industrial base and put our national security at risk. I don't
We took out the intraday
these
high.
other countries at all for this calamity. I blame former presidents and past leaders who weren't doing their job. They let it happen, and they let it happen to an extent that nobody can even believe. That's why, effective at midnight, we will impose a 25% tariff on all foreign-made automobiles.
How's Tesla doing?
Thank you. Brian, I'd like to have you come up here for a second, okay?
Woo,
I just see him sitting.
buddy.
He's been a fan of ours.
Woo, buddy!
And he understands this
Lightweight.
business a lot better than the
Lightweight.
economists, a lot better than anybody. Brian, say a few words, please, would you? Thank you, Mr. Thank you. It's a great honor to have you. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Look at that stash.
I grew up just north of Detroit, Michigan, in Macomb County, known as the home of the Reagan Democrats. My first vote for president was for Ronald Reagan. I thought that was going to be the best president I ever saw in my lifetime until Donald J. Trump came along.
Liberate us.
I have watched my entire life, I have watched plant after plant after plant in Detroit and in the metro Detroit area close. There are now plants sitting idle. There are now plants that are underutilized. And Donald Trump's policies are going to bring product back into those underutilized plants. There's going to be new
Bitcoin
investment.
tagged
There's gonna be
88,
new plants
SPY
built,
popped, Qs
and the
popped,
UAW
Tesla up to
members,
290.
I brought 20 of them with me. They're sitting right over here. We support Donald Trump's policies on tariffs 100%. So, Mr. President, we can't thank you enough. And in 6 months or a year, we're going to begin to see the benefits. I can't wait to see what's happening 3 or 4 years down the road. Thank you, Mr. President.
Tesla's still going.
What a great guy. He got it right from the beginning.
MSTR's
He got it
going.
before
Dude.
almost anybody else.
Dude.
Over there, they got it too. And, you know, we won the state of Michigan. We won almost all of them. But we won Michigan by a lot, and I want to just thank you all. The auto workers were fantastic. The Teamsters were fantastic. Everyone was pretty good, I will tell you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You're going to be very happy very soon, and you probably see what's happening with all of the, not only car companies, but car companies in particular. You see it with all of the ones they're moving, they're announcing day in, day out. You're seeing it. Nobody's ever seen anything like that. With today's actions, we're also standing up for our great farmers and ranchers who are brutalized by nations all over the world. Brutalized. Canada, by the way, imposes a 250 to 300% tariff on many of our dairy products. They do the first can of milk. They do the first little carton of milk at a very low price, but after that it gets bad, and then it gets up to 275, 300%. So when they're figuring what's Canada charging, they say, oh, about 2%, 3%. But take a look at what happens down the road. When you look a little bit, it's not a pretty picture, and we don't like it, and it's not fair. It's not fair to our farmers. It's not fair to our country. And with countries like
Fresh
Canada,
high coming down a little bit last
subsidize
45
a lot of
seconds,
countries and
but we
keep
took out
them
570
going
here.
and keep them in business.
Post market,
In the
we
case
are
of
up an
Mexico,
additional
it's
0.9%, almost
$300 billion a year.
$5
In the case
here.
of Canada, it's close to $200 billion a year. And I say, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? I mean, at what point do we say you got to work for yourselves, and you got to? This is why we have the big deficits. This is why we have that amount of debt that's been placed on our heads over the last number of years, and we're really not taking it anymore. Through non-tariff barriers, the European Union bans imports of most American poultry. You understand? They say, we want to send you our cars, we want to send you everything, but we're not going to take anything that you have. Australia bans, and they're wonderful people and wonderful everything, but they ban American beef, yet we imported $3 billion of Australian beef from them just last year alone. They won't take any of our beef. They don't want it because they don't want it to affect their farmers. And you know what? I don't blame them, but we're doing the same thing right now, starting about midnight tonight, I would say. And China charges American rice farmers an overquota, it's called, a tariff rate of 65%. South Korea charges 50%. Actually, they charge different, from 50% to 5%.
Coming back a little bit right now.
13%. In
Big
Japan,
pump.
our friend charges
Drift,
a 700%.
smack,
But that's
drift
because
back
they
down.
don't want us selling rice, another thing. Who can blame them, Madam Secretary? Agriculture, great job you did on eggs, by the way. The egg prices came down 50%. You got them down 50%. Once we got involved, they were going through the sky. The egg prices, they were going through the sky, and you did a fantastic job. Now we have lots of eggs, and they're much cheaper, down about 59% now, and they're going down further. We charge 2.8% for so many things that other countries are charging 200%, 300%, and 400% for. imposing tariffs and protective barriers made nations poor, then every country on earth would be racing to eliminate these policies, and China would be the first on line. They run a very strong country, but they're not first in line, and the American people are paying a very big price. From 1789 to
Little bounce back up
1913,
about points,
we were a tariff-backed
0.7%,
nation, and
about
the United
$4.
States was proportionately the wealthiest it has ever been. So wealthy, in fact, that in the 1880s, they established a commission to decide what they were going to do with the vast sums of money they were collecting. We were collecting so much money so fast, we didn't know what to do with it. Isn't that a nice problem to have? What do you think, Marco? Good problem? Marco would love that problem. But we don't have that problem anymore, but we're not going to have it very much longer, I will tell you. But they collected so much money, they actually formed a commission to determine what they were going to do with the money, who they were going to give it to, and how much. Then in 1913, for reasons unknown to mankind, they established the income tax so that citizens, rather than foreign countries, would start paying the money necessary to run our government. Then in 1929, it all came to a very abrupt end with the Great Depression, and it would have never happened if they had stayed with the tariff policy. It would have been a much different story. They tried to bring back tariffs to save our country, but it was gone. It was gone. It was too late. Nothing could have been done. It took years and years to get out of that depression, far longer than even FDR had that office right over there for a long period of time. The ramp system, that's rather intricate, was built because of him, and every time you walk up, you think of him, and he did a great job in many ways, but it lasted long beyond his terms, as you know. But it's not too late any longer, and we're going to start being smart, and we're going to start being very wealthy again. We're going to be wealthy as a country because they've taken so much of our wealth away from us. We're not going to let that happen. We truly can be very wealthy. We can be so much wealthier than any country. It's not even believable, but we're getting smart. Nearly a century later, in the face of unrelenting economic warfare, the United States can no longer continue with a policy of unilateral economic surrender. We cannot pay the deficits of Canada, Mexico, and so many other countries. We used to do it. We can't do it anymore. We take care of countries all over the world. We pay for their military. We pay for everything they have to pay, and then when you want to cut back a little bit, they get upset that you're not taking care of them any longer. But we have to take care of our people, and we're going to take care of our people first, and I'm sorry to say that.
Give us the numbers, dude.
And today we're standing up for the American worker, and we are finally putting America first. In Sleepy Joe Biden's last year in office, the United States hemorrhaged 100,000 manufacturing jobs, and the number was going through the roof at levels never seen before. And our trade deficit reached a record $1.2 trillion, which is unheard of. Since the beginning of NAFTA, the worst trade deal ever made. It was a horror show. I was able to terminate it. They all said you'd never be able to get it out. We had to get approval from Congress to get it terminated. We had to live
Turning
with that.
back
It
up.
was the worst trade deal ever made by far. But since the very beginning of NAFTA, our country lost 90,000 factories. Think of what that is, 90,000. Think about putting a map up and putting tax on it. You wouldn't have enough room. 90,000. I said, is that possible? We had it checked 4 different times, and it was actually somewhat higher than that. And 5 million manufacturing jobs were lost while racking up trade deficits of $19 trillion. That was the worst trade deal ever made.
NAFTA's going
As
to
a
be
result
dead.
of these gigantic losses, foreign nations now own $26 trillion more of American assets than think of this, than the Americans own of their own foreign assets or other foreign assets. The United States can no longer produce enough antibiotics to treat our sick. We have a tremendous problem. We have to go to foreign countries to treat our sick. If anything ever happened from a war standpoint, we wouldn't be able to do it. We import virtually all of our computers, phones, televisions, and electronics. We used to dominate the field, and now we import it all from different countries. A single shipyard in China now produces more ships every year than all of the American shipyards combined. Think of that. And it was a business that we used to dominate. We used to dominate it totally. In short, chronic trade deficits are no longer merely an economic problem. They're a national emergency that threatens our security and our very way of life. It's a very great threat to our country. And for these reasons, starting tomorrow, the United States will implement reciprocal tariffs on other nations. It's been a long time since we even thought of that. We used to think about it a lot. We didn't think about it for many decades, and you see what's happened. For nations that treat us badly, we will calculate the combined rate of all their tariffs, non-monetary barriers, and other forms of cheating. And because we are being very kind, we're kind people, very kind. You're not so kind when you got ripped off with your salaries. My auto worker friends and my Teamster friends and all of the unions that typically voted Democrat, they're not voting Democrat anymore because worker, whether union or non-worker, they're for the Republicans now. That's what happened. But we will charge them approximately half of what they are and have been charging us. So
Charging
the tariffs
half.
will be not a full reciprocal. I could have done that, yes, but it would have been tough for a lot of countries who didn't want to do
Coming
that.
in
I'd
at
like to see the
half,
chart if you have it.
0.5% reciprocal.
You bring it up, Howard. This is our great Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick. Thanks, Howard. So if you look at that, China, first row, China, 67%.
Oh, I love the
That's
printout.
tariffs charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So 67%, I think you can, for the most part, see it. Those with good eyes, with bad eyes.
34% on China.
It's very windy out here. We didn't want
Holy
to bring out the
fuck,
big charts because it had no chance of standing. Fortunately, we came armed with a little smaller chart. So it's 67%, so we're going to be charging a discounted reciprocal tariff of 34%. I think, in other words, they charge us, we charge them, we
Market's
charge
dumping
them less.
now
So
on
how can
this.
anybody be upset?
Realizing that
They
China's
will
getting
be,
hit at
because we never charged
34.
anybody anything.
Jesus.
But now we're going to European Union, they're very tough, very, very tough traders. You know, you think of European Union, very friendly.
Jesus,
they rip
dude,
us
we
off.
are
It's so
all
sad to see.
over.
It's so pathetic.
All over the map.
39%.
This
we're going
board.
to charge them 20%, so we're charging them essentially half. Vietnam, great negotiators, great people. They like me, I like them. The problem is they charge us 90%. We're going to charge them 46% tariff. Taiwan, where they took all of our computer chips and semiconductors. We used to be the king, right? We were everything. We had all of it. Now we have almost none of it, except the biggest company is coming in. We're going to end up with almost 40%. Lee Zeldin's working to get their approvals. And it's an amazing company. Mr. Wei.
The China 34% one
actually.
is
They're coming in
huge.
from Taiwan, and they're going to build one of the biggest plants in the world, maybe the biggest for that. But 64%, we're going to charge them 32%. Japan, very, very tough, great people. And again, I don't blame the people for doing it. I think they're very smart at doing it. I blame the people that sat right in that Oval Office right over there. Right behind the Resolute desk, or whichever desk they chose. Japan, 46%. They would charge us 46%, and much higher for certain items like cars, you know, little items like cars. 46%, we're charging them 24%. India, very, very tough. Very, very tough. The Prime Minister just left, and he's a great friend of mine, but I said, you're a friend of mine, but you're not treating us right. They charge us 52%. You have to understand, we charge them almost nothing for years and years and decades, and it was only 7 years ago when I came in, we started with China, charged them. We took in hundreds of billions
Vietnam
of dollars
is
from
the biggest
China
percent. Oh, no,
in
Malaysia.
tariffs. And
What is that?
They understood.
Cambodia
honestly.
is getting hit at
President Xi understood.
49%.
He said, look, I understand.
Poor
And the other
Cambodia
countries,
right
they all
here.
understand. We're gonna have to go through a little
49%.
tough love, maybe, but they all understand. They're ripping us off, and they understood it. Prime Minister of Japan, Shinzo Abe. He was a fantastic man. He was unfortunately taken from us, assassination. But I went to him and I said, Shinzo,
Pure chaos.
we have to do something. A trade is not fair. He said, I know that. And he was a great gentleman. He was a fantastic man, but he understood immediately what I was talking about. I said, Shinzo, we have to do something. He said, I know that. And we worked out a deal, and it would have been a much better deal, but frankly, there were many years left on the deal that was made previous to my getting there, but it was something. If you look at Switzerland, 61% to 31%. Indonesia, Malaysia, Cambodia. Oh, look at Cambodia, 97%. We're going to bring it down to 49. They made a fortune with the United States of America. United Kingdom, 10%, and we'll go 10%. So we'll do the same thing. South Africa, 60%, 30%, and they've got some bad things going on in South Africa. You know, we're paying them
Singapore's 10 and
billions of
10.
dollars, and we cut the funding because
Israel's
a lot of bad things are
33 down
happening
to
in South
17.
Africa. The fake news ought to be looking at it. They don't want to report it.
Who's the second to
Brazil,
last one here?
10%,
88% to
10%,
44.
Bangladesh
You can't see it. My head's
is
covering it.
74%. So you see what's going
Right
on.
here, 88 to 44.
Pakistan, 58%. Sri Lanka, 88%. So what we're doing is we're taking not the full, we could take the full 88%. Thanks a lot, Art. He's doing a very good job. How's he doing? All right?
Chaos.
I think you better take it with you. It's not going to last very long. He's going to put it, it's going to follow you down with the wind. I brought a hat just in case it got too
we were
windy,
looking
but
good
here's-
until
would
we
anybody
weren't.
like a hat. I'm not giving it to a cabinet. I'm giving it to the auto workers. Come here. Thank
The
you,
markets
fellas.
faded
Yeah,
that
that's
real quick.
That's it. They deserve it
Real
more than our
quick.
cabinet. Our cabinet has plenty of hats. But you see the numbers. The numbers are so disproportionate. They're so unfair. At the same time, we
This
will
is when Wall
establish a
Street Journal
minimum
reported
baseline
10%,
tariff of
and then we got the
10%. You notice that
clarification.
on the chart. And that'll be on other countries.
Wall
to
Street
help
Journal says 10%
rebuild our
across the
economy
board.
and to prevent cheating.
Trump
So
tells
we're
us the
gonna
truth.
Have a minimum of cheating, and we're going to be
Wall
very
Street
severe
Journal,
on the people
we see
that-
the board.
at the gate
The
that
board reveal.
Watch the tariffs and watch the product coming in, because there's been a lot of bad things happening at
This
the
is
gate.
wild.
Because the money is so enormous that you're talking about. There's never been probably anything like it in terms of the enormity. And there are a lot of bad things happen at the people that do the check-in, and they're looking at 10-year jail sentences if they do play. We're going to treat them so good, but if they cheat, the repercussions are going to be extremely strong. Foreign nations will finally be asked to pay for the privilege of access to our market, the biggest market in the world. We're right now the biggest market in the world. We had a great country 4 years ago in terms of the economics. We were doubling up on China. We were doing so well. Nobody was going to catch us, but so much of it slipped away over the last 4 years under Biden. I campaigned on this policy throughout last year, and today that promise was made, and it was also a promise, as you know, that was kept. Promises made, promises kept. To any company that objects to our common sense reciprocal tariffs, again, reciprocal, back and forth, back and forth. And I call this kind reciprocal. This is not full reciprocal.
Dude,
this is kind reciprocal.
China's going to be losing
But
its mind.
What we do is we cut it in half. We charge them. My answer is very simple if they complain. If you want your tariff rate to be zero, then you build your product right here in America, because there is no tariff if you build your plant, your product in America. And we've seen companies coming in like we've never seen before. Likewise to all of the foreign presidents, prime ministers, kings, queens, ambassadors, and everyone else
Getting
will
worse.
soon be calling to ask for exemptions from these tariffs. I say, terminate your own tariffs, drop your barriers, don't manipulate your currencies. They manipulate their currencies like nobody can even believe, which is a bad, bad thing and very devastating to us. And start buying tens of billions of dollars of American goods. Tariffs give our country protection against those that would do us economic harm. And many people were looking to do us economic harm. Maybe not so obviously, but they were doing tremendous economic harm. But even more importantly, they will give us growth. These tariffs are going to give us growth like you haven't seen before. And it'll be something very special to watch. I am so looking forward. And Brian, it's going to happen even faster than you said. You know, you might say, but it's already started. It's already started. Work's already begun on plants all around the country, and you see that as before. These are big, rich companies. We have $61 billion started on a big plant going up. It's going to be announced over the next 2 days, and they already started work. Many of these the biggest companies in the world, they've committed to build. We're going to build, sir. And they came here to see me, and wanted to know if they could have a press conference. I do as many as I can. I'm pretty busy trying to stop Russia and Ukraine and the Middle East. We got to stop that. We got to stop the Houthis, which we're making tremendous. They like shooting ships down and out of the water, sinking ships. They get a kick out of it, but they're not getting such a kick out of it now, are they, Mr. Secretary? They're not getting such a kick out of that now. But here are just a short list of some of the companies that have already announced and committed to investment.
$12 drop.
This is a company that built its factories and its plants in China.
Peak to trough, we dropped 3%. 3% in minutes.
They never spent money like that here. They're going to build their plants here. SoftBank, OpenAI, and Oracle, great companies, are investing $500 billion almost immediately. NVIDIA, a hot company, is investing hundreds of billions of dollars. They just announced. TSMC, the biggest, most important company in the world of chips from Taiwan, with no investment from us, is investing $200 billion. And they said the reason was, number one, the election of November 5th, and number two, the tariffs. They don't want to pay the tariffs, and the way they're not paying it is to build their plant here. So we're going to go from almost no percentage. We used to have 100% of the chip market. Now it's all in Taiwan. Almost all of it's in Taiwan. A couple of other countries, but mostly in Taiwan. And think of it. We had 100%. We lost it because of people in that office that didn't do their job. They allowed it to be stolen from us. Johnson & Johnson, great company, $55 billion. Eli Lilly, $27 billion. Meta is investing $500 billion. Wow.
What?
DeMac is investing $20 billion. CMA, CGM, $20 billion. And then you have Merck,
$500 billion.
Stellantis, General Motors, GE Aerospace,
Dude,
Honda, Nissan,
holy shit.
Hyundai are all putting in billions and billions of dollars.
Turn the market off, brother.
100%. And we've never had, and this is after 2.5 months. This is after just a short, this all took place as soon as we came out with what everybody wanted to do. You know, I watched a gentleman today on television. He used to work with Lee Iacocca, a very respected automobile person, and he said, you know,
547.
Because they're asking people, and they try and get as many.
Right, trading at 552.
But they can't find them too much. It's pretty hard to find.
This low from Monday is
doing,
547.
Especially when they see all this investment. They said, so tell me, what do you think of what Trump is doing from the automobile standpoint? He said, I can't believe it. Somebody is finally, he's an older guy, real pro, really top guy, with Lee Iacocca. He said, I never thought I'd see the day when this would happen, where somebody had the courage to go and do what has to be done. This is transforming our nation. Our entire nation is going to be transformed, not only with the cars, but on every single other item that's built. We're going to become an industrial powerhouse. And he said that so beautifully today. In fact, I'm going to find out, I'm going to get a tape, and Bruce, I'm going to get that tape, and I'm going to send it to you out in Long Island, and you're going to play it for the people.
So it's hitting
and
computer
all your union
imports.
workers and your non-union workers out there. You got a pretty even split. But we have, so far, it looks like we're going to have about $6 trillion of investments, and you wouldn't do that in years.
Wow. In
this country over the last number of years. $6 trillion. And that's going to be much higher by the end of the year. And think of what $6 trillion is. You wouldn't have even a small percentage of that.
The globalists.
Under this other system. We're going to be an entirely different country, and it's going to be fantastic for the workers. It's going to be fantastic for everyone. There will never have been a transformation of a country like the transformation that's already happening in the United States of America. It's an incredible thing to watch, and it's incredible to meet with the top people, people that you read about, very wealthy people, or people that are great managers and executives and presidents of big public companies. and to watch the enthusiasm they have now that they didn't have. They gave up on our country. They went to foreign countries and they built. Companies are pouring into our country at levels never seen before with jobs and money to follow, and it's really beautiful. In the coming days, there will be complaints from the globalists and the outsourcers and special interests and the fake news. Always, the fake news will always complain. But never forget, every prediction our opponents made about trade for the last 30 years has been proven totally wrong. They were wrong about NAFTA. They were wrong about China. They were wrong about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would have been a disaster if I didn't terminate it. If I didn't terminate that, United Auto Workers, you would have had no jobs in this country. You would have had no jobs. It was all going to other countries. In my first term, they said tariffs would crash the economy. Instead,
Madagascar is getting hit at 47.
And again, I have great respect for President Xi of China, great respect for China.
Cambodia,
but,
49.
They were taking tremendous advantage of
Sri Lanka, 44.
And I commend them for that. I say, hey,
dude, the China at 34 and the EU at 20 is wild.
They understand exactly what's happening, and they probably, most of them are saying it's about time they did something. But and they're going to fight. And they're going to fight fair. Everyone's going to fight. You know, it's like I say to the leaders, look, you got to take care of your country, but we have to start taking care of our country now. We can't do what we've been doing for the last 50 years. From the day of my election, the stock market went up in my first term 88%, with NASDAQ going up 155%, more than any president has ever had in any term in office, by far. And I think we're going to blow that away. And maybe the numbers won't show, but I think they're going to show much better than even those numbers. But what you're going to see is you're going to see activity, that empty, dead sites, factories that are falling down. Those factories will be knocked down, and they're going to have brand new factories built in their place. They're not only talking about renovating, they're talking about brand new, the best anywhere in the world, the biggest anywhere in the world. I have a friend who builds car plants, and I said, I want to see the biggest and the best. He said, well, we have to go to Mexico. I said, no, I want to see it in the United States. He said, we're not building them in there. This is a year and a half ago during the campaign. He said, we're not building it. You'd have to go to Mexico. When I was starting to decide to run, and I went to #1 in the polls very rapidly, I want to say, like let's say in the first hour, and then shortly thereafter, it looked like I was going to win, and the fake news was saying, oh, no, don't do this. What they don't know is if I didn't win, they would have really been in trouble, because nobody wants to read them anyway. But I tell you what, when it looked like I was going to win, I announced that I was going to be doing exactly what we're talking about today. Great consistency, actually, because I've been talking about it for 40 years, but because I saw what was happening 40 years ago. If you look at my old speeches when I was young, very handsome, my old speeches, and that people would say, I'd be on a television show, I'd be talking about how we were being ripped off by these countries. I mean, nothing changes very much. The only thing that changed were the countries, but nothing really changes. But it's why it's such an honor. It's such an honor to be finally able to do this. If you look at China, I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in my term, hundreds of billions. They never paid 10 cents to any other president, and yet they paid hundreds of billions, so much so that Biden couldn't do anything. They wanted to try and terminate it because he had a very special relationship
Everyone
with China.
at minimum is at 10%.
He had a special relationship. But the numbers were so big, that they couldn't do it. So they did ease it up. They did things that they shouldn't have done. They made it a lot more comfortable for them, but
we
they
are
couldn't do it
right back to the lows.
Hundreds of billions of dollars that I did that. And we were on our way to doing something like incredible. And then we had a very bad election happen, a lot of bad things happened. So when I said we got to do it again, I said we have to make it too big to rig. And we made it too big to rig, and we won in records, and it was a monumental win. And it was such an honor to see so many of you, like Brian and your friends, here with us to celebrate and to more importantly celebrate what we're doing, because that wouldn't be a full celebration if we didn't do this, because this will be an entirely different country in a short period of time. It'll be something the whole world will be talking about it. The critics made the
Down
very tired predictions
$12.
earlier this year, but in February,
Holy
core
shit.
inflation dropped to the lowest rate in 4 years. And the price of eggs, as you know,
Bold
just in
move, Cotton.
in a month and a half.
Bold move.
We were there for 4 weeks. And the first week, I got blamed for eggs. I said, I just got here. They said eggs have gone up at like 250% and you can't get eggs. And they were going crazy. And I said, I just got here. And then we got to work on eggs, and we got to work on everything. And our great Secretary of Agriculture, you did a fantastic job. Brooke Rollins, she did a fantastic job. And as I said before, the price of eggs dropped now 59%, and they're going down more, and the availability is fantastic. They were saying that for Easter, please don't use eggs. Could you use plastic eggs? I said, we don't want to do that. We want to, and you really came through. It's an amazing job. Thank you very much, Brooke. You did great. But likewise, an old-fashioned term that we use, groceries. I used it in the campaign. It's such an old-fashioned term, but a beautiful term, groceries. It sort of says a bag with different things in it. Groceries went through the roof, and I campaigned on that. I talked about the word groceries for a lot, and energy costs now are down. Groceries are down. Gasoline is way under $3, and people are beginning to be able to buy things and live again. We brought prices way down. We created 10,000 already in a few weeks, new manufacturing jobs. And it was that took place in 1 month, numbers that they haven't seen in a long time. We had virtually no inflation under my term. We had virtually no inflation for 4 years, but after transitioning over to Sleepy Joe, it went from almost non-existent to the highest in the history of our country. They had the highest inflation in the history of our country, brought up by energy and bad spending and bad policy, and a lot of bad things happened. How about allowing millions and millions and millions of people to pour into our country with open borders, where it's so sad to see even now. And I see our great secretary you have done. Stand up, please, Christy. Stand up. Christy Noem and Tom Homan. These people are doing a great job, but gotten them out in records. We have problems with judges that don't want them to go out. They want Tren de Aragua, and they want MS-13, the most vicious gangs ever. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Absolute killer gangs. They kill people. They don't even think about it. And we put them out, and we have judges now, radical left judges that they don't want them to go out. They want them to even be brought back. Let's bring them back. You've done a fantastic job, and please thank everybody. Homeland Security, thank everybody. Appreciate it. And we now have a border that's the best border that we've ever had, even better than it was my first term. My first term we did good, but this one we really specialized in. We've done really well. And we had records then. We had the best, safest border. 4 years ago, we had the best border there ever was. And now we have, you've actually matched it and done even better. And we're going to get it down the right way. And we want people, by the way, to come into our country, but we want to come in through a legal process. We want them to come in legally. We need more people. We need people to run these plants and to help the auto workers and the Teamsters and the non-union people and everybody else. But we need people and the farmers. And we're going to let people come in, but they want to come in. We want them to come in legally. They have to have the capability of loving our country, not people that hate our country. We don't want them in our country.
What happens
and
when
now we're
the
going
Asian
to pass
market
the
opens here?
Largest tax cuts in American history, and that's where we're relying on Mike and John Thune. And we will not cut Social Security, Medicare, or Medicaid benefits, and the Democrats will, because if they got in, the entire economy would collapse. This country was heading for a collapse under the people that you saw. They were horrible. I think one of the reasons people like the job, I have my highest approval ratings because I think they're comparing me to the worst administration in the history of our country, so I appreciate that at least. But Speaker of the House Mike Johnson and Senate Majority Leader, appreciate it, Mike, John Thune have been fantastic, by the way. But they've been working tirelessly on taking the next step to pass the plan for our One big, beautiful bill. I'd like to name it that if you can. One big, I made that statement about 6 months ago, and everybody calls it one big, beautiful bill. And it will be that. It'll have everything, the big tax cuts and every incentive there is. And it'll be fantastic. And by the way, for the cars, we're asking for an interest deduction on a loan. So if you build the car, only in America we do it, Brian. If the car's not built in America, you don't get the interest rate deduction. But if you build the car in America, if you buy a car, if it's built in America, then you get an interest rate deduction, tax deduction, and that's a big thing. That's going to be a big thing. I think that's going to pay for itself very quickly, that deduction. Never happened. We've never had anything like that before. Somebody said, where do you get the idea? Because it's so basic. You would think that would have happened a long time ago. It never did, and I'm very happy it didn't, because now I can say that was my idea. But we're going to get us closer to the debt extension. We have to get the debt extension passed, and I know you're going to be able to do that, Mike, and it's very important that you do that. And all of the other things that the Senate budget plan gives us, along with working, because I know they're working together, John and Mike, and the two bills are going very well together. We need to get our shared priorities done, including certain permanent tax cuts. We want the tax cuts to be permanent, spending cuts, energy and historic investments in defense, border, and so much more. We're covering everything. These will be phenomenal. There'll be no bill like this going to straighten. One bill is going to straighten out our country for many, many years to come. And we said, let's just do it and let's get it done. And some guys will love it and some guys will like it a little bit less because they're not getting what they were exactly looking for, but they're getting a lot. They'll never, if we get this done, it'll be the most incredible bill ever passed in the history of our Congress and Senate and congressmen, the senators and the congressmen, many of whom are here today, will be very proud of themselves. I really believe that. It's going to set us on a whole new prosperous path. We're going to cut spending and right-size the budget back to where it should be. We're going to do that very strongly. Thank you, Rick. Thank you. John, thank you. Oh, look at all of our senators.
Markets like kind of stopped moving at this point.
Boy.
Sitting
That's
at
a
that
nice group of
2+% down.
But I won't like them so much if they don't get this bill done. That's a great group, and Congressman, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Tremendous people. The Senate plan has my complete and total support, and the House plan likewise is very similar. They're moving along pretty much at the same clip, and as soon as you're ready, you'll show it to me, and I'm sure it'll have my support, Mike. Every Republican congressman and senator must unify. We have to unify. We can't be separated. We have to get it done. We have to get absolutely everything we can, and we have to take care of the American people. That's the only thing that matters. We have to take care of the American people first. We need to pass this bill immediately, get it done, including debt extension. From this day on, we're not going to let anyone tell us that American workers and families cannot have the future that they deserve. We're going to produce the cars and ships, chips, airplanes, minerals, and medicines that we need right here in America. The pharmaceutical companies are going to become roaring back. They're coming roaring back. They're all coming back to our country because if they don't, they got a big tax to pay. And if they do, I'll be very happy, and you're going to be very happy, and you're going to be very safe. We're going to build our future with American hands, with American heart, American steel, and we're going to build it with American pride like we used to. We're approaching our 100th day as president and have been given credit by a lot of people, actually, even some of the fake news. Can you believe it? Which in this case hopefully isn't fake, for having done more in that time than any other administration in the history of our country in the first 100 days. I think we've had an amazing in terms of what we've done, what we've gotten accomplished. I'd like to see if we can get that war ended and another war from not starting in the Middle East. We have to get Russia. They're losing 2,000 on average, 2,500 people today, young people, soldiers, Russian, think of that, 2,500 through some days, but on average probably over about a 1 week period, it's 2,712, they say. They're losing those soldiers. They're dying. They're being decimated. And they're not from our country, but they're from other countries. But they're human beings. They're from Russia. They're from Ukraine in this period, most of them. and we're going to get it stopped. It's a senseless war that would have never happened if I was president, and it shouldn't be allowed to go on. And I think we're being given good cooperation by Russia and by Ukraine, but we have to get it stopped. It's humanity. It's humanity. It's a terrible thing. This will be a very big moment. I think you're going to remember today. It's going to be a free nation that we're dealing with. We're going to have a very free and beautiful nation. It's going to be Liberation Day in America, and it's going to be a day that hopefully you're going to look back in years to come and you're going to say, you know, he was right. This has
the
turned
market
out to be
not
one of
so
the most
stoked about this
important
one
days in the
initially.
history of our country. God bless you and God bless America. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Jeez. Popping on the fact that he's done. They're like, all right, cool. He can't announce anything else right now. We're now at the levels that we saw this morning. So to like, obviously this is a big dump, but to explain where we're at, last time we saw these levels were literally this morning or yesterday. It's not like we're in some sort of uncharted territory, to be very, very clear. Are they done, or what do we have going on here? All right, looks like... Oh, he's signing it.
Good afternoon, y'all. We have two documents prepared for the president's signature today. One closes what's referred to as the de minimis loophole with respect to imports from the
Not even Hail Mary.
The other is the big one, is the reciprocal tariff executive order that the president just spoke about.
Boom. Someone hit him with a boom.
Deal, and it's been an honor to be part of the team getting started.
They hit him with the old boom.
This is big stuff.
Boom goes the dynamite. Yeah. So we're still above the low that we made on Monday, but we're getting dangerously close to this low we made in mid-March. That was 549, and the low we made on Monday was 547. The overnight trading session is going to be very interesting. Obviously, tomorrow's trading session is going to be very, very interesting. Why do they sign them with? I thought it was like pens. They seem to be like large markers. What do you think the White House's marker bill is? They go through a lot of markers. Well, I think that's all she wrote. I think that's all she wrote there, folks. This is one of those things where it's kind of like the opposite of the meme where they're like, I'm not going to lie, they had us in the first half. It's like that, but opposite. Not going to lie, I thought we had them in the first half, and then boom. So if you're just joining in, to quickly explain what happened here, it was around 4:15 that it was reported by the Wall Street Journal that the tariffs would be 10%. And obviously the market assumed that that was 10% across the board for everyone, far less than what was kind of anticipated. And then when Trump actually broke out the little board he had, we realized 10% was the minimum. And some of our largest trading partners, such as China, clocking in at 34, and the EU at 20, and Cambodia like 40 freaking 9. So it's the opposite of the meme. We had them in the first half. They very much had us in the second half. So just to be clear, yes, this is a very dramatic drop. It's giving back what we did today and then a little bit more. I mean, truly, if you go to the 30-minute chart, you can see literally on Monday of this week, 2 days ago, the market was lower. And then the market was actually still lower on this major low that we saw on Thursday, March the 13th. So we are just above that, and we're still very much above the low on Monday. But obviously, that's taking a step back because this overnight action is pretty freaking insane. So what can I recommend? Well, get some rest. The overnight trading action is going to be absolutely crazy. Watch the futures market. And then tomorrow's U.S. trading session is also going to be absolutely crazy. So buckle up, Buttercup, because tomorrow is going to be kind of the reflexive response to all this. And then on Friday, we have the unemployment report and Jerome Powell speaking. So we're pretty much not sleeping from now until market close on Friday. So definitely get a bit ready for that one. Obviously, we'll be streaming tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. bright and early, 30 minutes before the market opens. If you guys want to check in on some of the degeneracy, see what's going on. I'm personally very interested in seeing how the options market restructures itself to this news. So let's see how that all really gets going. But that's what I have for you right now. We'll catch you tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. bright and early. Best of luck with the overnight session, and I'll catch you later. Thanks for the good vibes. Peace.